a lot of countries will be hoping that their teams can, of course, get the result to ensure that they move on to the next phase.
Yeah, and the halftime score in the Suriname-St. Vincent game is actually 2-1 at the moment to Suriname, who are putting out on their roster a lot of Netherlands-based players who qualified to play for Suriname, so they've got a pretty strong roster there. Antigua and Barbuda would be disappointed with giving up some points today because they led by 1-0 for a long period, only near stoppage time equalizer from Sashil Ming after the Old Road FC striker Raheem de Turville had given the Antiguans a lead earlier in the match. So Antigua and Barbuda were heading for 3 points, but then Bermuda valiantly claiming a point towards the latter stages of that match. So
yeah.
I'm interested to see what happens later with the TNT Grenada match, Curacao against Barbados, also a fixture that we're going to look at. Dominica, they're up against Guatemala. They had some issues traveling Dominica to Guatemala because of some visa problems. That apparently has been sorted out. And there's a Montserrat-Nicaragua game that we'll look at as well. Going to be a tall order for Montserrat to trouble Nicaragua.
Yeah, so we have a lot of work cut out for us. We have a lot of matches to monitor, so we'll be doing that very, very closely. Well, speaking of matches, 6 more matches are slated for Thursday, with the Reggae Boys paired against Dominican Republic at home. The match was originally set for 6:30 p.m. local time, but a change to 3:30 p.m. was announced on the eve of the clash. That's today. Well, this came as a result of an assessment carried out by CONCACAF 2 weeks ago, which deemed the playing lights at the National Stadium in Kingston unfit for use. Well, President Michael Ricketts joins us via phone to shed some light on the situation. Mr. Ricketts, good afternoon. Welcome to the SportsMax Zone. Always happy when you can join us here. Mr. Ricketts?
Hello?
All right, you're live on the SportsMax Zone, and of course, you know the reason.
You sound a little distant. I'm not hearing you clearly.
All right, can we sort the audio out, team, and then reconnect with Mr. Ricketts?
Yeah, anxious to hear what happens there because, of course, a 3:30 start, Mariah, would make things very difficult for fans to turn out in the numbers that they would have turned out if it were a 6:30 game because typically people leave work at 4:30 or 5.
Well, I had plans because I leave work at 6:15.
Yes.
I had planned to, of course, jump in my vehicle and head straight to the National Stadium because one of the things we've been talking about is the support for the Reggae Boys, the importance of fans turning out in their numbers to, of course, support the team. I think it's crucial that when you're playing a home game, you feel like you're home.
Yeah, and it would be significant in numbers if the difference between a 3:30 game and a 6:30 game because as we said, understandably, a lot of fans may not be able to make a 3:30 start.
All right, well, let's try to reconnect with JFF President Michael Ricketts. Mr. Ricketts, can you hear me better now?
Yeah, we're not getting the president.
Hello.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunate we can't get through there. But this is a tough one to digest for the fans because from last year, we had issues with the CONCACAF Champions League matches with the Cavalier being fined for the conditions of the stadium lights. So it's an issue that's not new.
Yeah. Would you like to try this time, Lance?
Yeah, Mr. Ricketts, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm hearing you, Lance. I'm actually hearing you now.
Okay. All right, give us a sort of a background to where we are at, President, because our understanding is that CONCACAF has ruled that the lights aren't good enough to have an evening game. Is that an accurate statement?
That is, yeah, that is a fact. In fact, we've been having discussions with CONCACAF in this regard. The lights were tested maybe 2 weeks ago and found to be inadequate. So we were advised, and we have had continuous dialogue with the relevant authorities, IPL, and of course, government. Unfortunately, we were told that the lights were coming in from China and that they would have arrived last week. That did not happen, and we are being advised that IPL borrowed some lights, from whom I really don't know. And they were installed. We invited people from Phase 3 who have done an inspection. They sent a report to us. We forwarded the report to CONCACAF. This morning we were advised that the lights have improved, but they still have not even met the minimum standard. So the game has to be played during daylight.
Yeah. Yeah, for clarity, President Ricketts, Phase 3 is a television production company in charge of the fixture.
That's correct.
Can you say definitively that Phase 3 as a television production company deeming the lights fit for a television broadcast equates to CONCACAF accepting that the lights are fine? Because it may be fine for the TV presentation, but based on FIFA and CONCACAF standards, it may still fall below the level of what's required.
That is indeed correct, Lance. Phase 3 did say that they could try to work with it. It was not the ideal situation. But when they sent the full report to us, and we would have forwarded that to CONCACAF, CONCACAF said that it did not even meet the minimum requirement. So obviously, they would have said to us that no, it just can't work.
Yeah.
And as unfortunate as it is, Lan, I mean, we just have to work with that. And of course, very, very disappointed. It's going to hurt us in many ways. Commercially, for sure, in terms of numbers in the stadium. And of course, from a social standpoint.
Yeah, I see.
So, I mean, I want to use this opportunity to apologize for the inconvenience this change of time have caused for all the fans who would want to come to the game.
Yeah, I recognize that social media is putting some pressure on the JFF on this one, President, but it is very clear that this one was out of the JFF hands and the responsibility more lying with the stadium administrators and the government in ensuring that the lights are good enough. Is it true, though, President, that CONCACAF had always listed this for a 3:30 game, but the JFF were trying to get a 6:30 fixture for obvious reasons to allow more fans to be able to watch the match?
No, not at all. CONCACAF came up with a 3:30 when they realized that the lights may not be ready. But originally, and in fact, and I suspect based on the tone, that if the number of locks were adequate, would have had a 6:30 game. But because we did not even meet the minimum requirement, obviously, they had to put the game for 3:30. But they had suggested 3:30 because we were always under the impression that the lights would not be ready.
Yeah, and Mr. Ricketts, I just heard you, of course, expressing disappointment in the fact that there are many areas that will be affected, but we always have to keep in the back of our mind that the team also, to get this news on the eve of their match, it's not a good look, especially because it's a home match. I was saying to Lance before you joined us, when you play at home, you expect to see a stadium filled with people wearing your national colors. I think it adds a massive boost to the team, and it gives you that mental advantage.
It does, absolutely, it does. But the only good thing is that it was always touch and go, and we try to put that in the minds of all the parties. It will be a daylight game. We are hoping for 6:30, but in case it doesn't work, it will be 3:30. So the players were kind of expecting this, but hoping that it would have been 6:30.
Yeah. And another question that a lot of people will have is for the fans that would have purchased tickets for the 6:30, in the back of their mind, thinking that they're coming out for 6:30. Do you know if a decision has been made? Let's just say they can't make it. Will they be refunded, or what will happen to them?
I mean, that is something we'll have to discuss. That is more so a board decision.
Yeah.
But we want to appease disgruntled fans. So, of course, you want to make them happy, and we always do things to keep the love and the support of our fans.
Yeah, and one of the things that we'll be expecting, Mr. Ricketts, is that the lights are sorted out. So the next time I can leave work on time so I can head across to the match along with all our viewers.
I tell you, the option now is if the lights are adequate, then we are looking at the possibility of playing overseas.
Yeah. President Ricketts,
We really don't have a choice.
Yeah, President Ricketts, how disappointing is this, though? Because can you, key us in on some of the discussions that you've been having with the relevant authorities as you listed them? Because this isn't a new issue. I think Cavalier were fined last year in CONCACAF Champions League football because of the inadequate lights. We are in June now, which means that it's beyond 6 or 7 months that this issue has been.
That happened, I think, maybe November, December.
Okay, so you're confirming then that it's not a new issue. So can you talk us through the discussions you've been having with the authorities and what could cause this problem to be so protracted? Because it, to me, is a serious issue. It's a national stadium.
It is. And what's unfortunate, Lance, is that, and we have proof that we have been trying to have these lighting addressed for months. In fact, we highlighted the problem when Cavalier, and of course Cavalier was a tenant. They actually rented the facility.
Yes.
And they in turn were fined $10,000 for inadequate lighting.
In November of last year.
Yes, the same thing happens to us. I mean, we're tenants. We're paying for the use of the stadium. And for us now to be disenfranchised, so to speak, it is painful. And we would have done a lot of marketing around this game. We engaged a company to help us to market the footballing product. And they seem to have been doing an excellent job. And in the middle of all of that, we have this major setback. But, we don't want to be daunted. We still want to come to the game tomorrow with good spirits, still be able to put the light issue aside, give some support to our players, and hope that we come out with all 3 points.
Yeah.
That's where our focus seems to be now, because, like I've said, the only option now is the light is not remedied or corrected. They probably play in Florida.
Yeah, well, Mr. Ricketts, as we said, we're just hoping for the 3 points tomorrow for the Reggae Boys, and we hope that certainly we can sort this issue out, because I know the Jamaican people would love to be able to watch football right here at home in their own national stadium. As always, a pleasure when you join us here on the SportsMax Zone, and we hope it won't be too long before you join us again.
Well, Lance, I suppose you could answer that, sir. Call me and I'll make myself available.
All right, and if not, I'll get his number, Lance, so I can call him, so he can't say no, okay? All right, thank you. All right, take care, Mr. Ricketts. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
All right, not a problem. Of course, the JFF president there, Mr. Michael Ricketts, shedding some light on the light situation at the National Stadium. We go to break and we'll be right back.